So if it needs to stay at 6:30, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'd have to ask Kyle, but I know it's just late. Like, you could push a 2-hour meeting until like 8:30. Like.
Yeah, true.
I can just put it on the agenda and we can hash it out in January, perhaps, if you want to permanently change it for the whole week.
Oh, I closed it. Didn't need to.
Are you
Ready to go?
recording? Okay. Is everybody ready?
Mhm.
Okay, let's do call to order for our December meeting. I'll start. Is that always when the meeting? I always forget the intro.
Call to order at whatever time.
And we have 6:30.
Okay.
And then I'll do a roll call. I'm Adriana Kalk. I'm the chair of the board.
Nicole Schreiner. Allie Welch, secretary.
Steve Dolphin.
And we're missing Kyle McVeigh this evening. Are there any citizens' comments? Number 4, we'll approve the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes for our November meeting and then for the workshop. Is there a motion?
There's a motion to accept the minutes for the last 2, November and December.
Okay. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Both were in November.
Yes.
Nicole said December. So.
My mistake.
November.
Yes, for that.
Both November meetings.
All right. We have just this one major discussion item this evening. On 5A, discuss and take appropriate action on updating the parkland requirements for new developments. Specifically, I had direction from Councilman Bob Lee to do Ordinance 100-53. So it's not the PUDs. Sorry. I did not get clarification from him on why it was just this one section, so I don't know what council has discussed previously or what his thought was on that. But
I have not talked to Mr. Lee about it. You guys are free to make a recommendation on any section of the code ordinances you want to.
Okay.
He's not unilaterally going.
Yeah, I was worried about getting too big a scope right now because this is the first time we've had to consider any of this part of the ordinance. And it's been an interesting research project. So I can get more direction or see if we need to work on other parts. Because I doubt this. I mean, we can make a recommendation this evening to council, but I doubt it will be the final say. And part of my recommendation I was thinking is that, we still need to do more research. Because there's other features in a parkland ordinance that you can use. And the other, which I mentioned in the notes, the other obstacle is that developers can de-annex from the ETJ. And that gives the city less control over that part of the land. And it's a little, so thank you for that guidance on that, Patrick. But I found some other articles too to help clarify that yeah, they can, like in Austin, there were just developers everywhere de-annexing. And I think even read like Tesla, like the whole manufacturing plant left the city, left the ETJ. So they didn't have to deal with some of the city's ordinances for that part. Okay, that's kind of a weird update or intro. I wrote a recommendation, but I had some questions for it. And I guess just in general, as a board, do we even like the way this is worded or going? And then in the notes I had, which everyone has a printout right here. And even for Jonah, there's some questions I still wanted clarification on. How restricted do we want to be? And
I guess those would have been my comments about it too, is that who else can we consult? Should we take this to Brianna? Who with more knowledge of development things than us would be a good person to consult or to?
Yes, and I think we would probably need an attorney, probably Brianna. I was even thinking of interviewing some other park directors. at least maybe New Braunfels, because that's who I keep highlighting in my, or kind of referring to in the research I've done. So I could go through kind of some of these bullet points that I have on the notes just as to fill in some blanks here if we kind of like the way this is going. My main goal is to say we have these initial ideas on how to upgrade or update the current ordinance, at least for the 100-53. But then I have a part in here of like, we have to do more research and, like you said, interview some people. Need to see really what this ETJ is doing to affect current cities, and I'd like to do a parkland dedication manual, especially if Jonah or us, the board, gets put into the approval process. So we can just kind of really lay out what we think about. So, but how strong do you want those things to be, right? Like, you don't want to scare away people, but then you don't also just want to give your land away for free. That's my spiel. One thing that I thought was useful is when I don't think in the past was used very well. You can either get, or you can do a combination of both, I think too. You can get parkland itself, or you can get development fees or just the fee in lieu of a parkland dedication. And that helps you figure out how you can fill in your master plan goals. Because sometimes you want property and sometimes you just need some cash to figure out some bigger projects. So I was trying to encode a little bit of that into those recommendations. But it's part of having maybe that manual to help us understand when we want to do one of those options. So that's kind of questions for Jonah is like, if tomorrow we got a developer in here and said, we want this property, do you want a park that's 20 acres? Do you want a park that's 10 acres? Like, is that just scary to you? Or, what's the maximum size threshold that you want to think about where if it's too big, it just knocks over to fee in lieu of, and they can give us some money. Not me.
Yeah, and it's gonna come down to staffing is gonna be the biggest thing. My staff could probably take on, something like the size of Lions Park comfortably. However, we're gonna there's gonna be, cracks in that or things that might fall through the crack. The other thing to consider is whenever that developer is bringing in, this is going to be undeveloped parkland. So, council will also have to figure out ways on how they're going to fund if they want to put a playground there or trails or something like that. And I mean, there's plenty of grants that we could try to go out and get, but again, those grants are not going to be 100%.
Yeah. And then it just takes that much more time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I think you might have a faulty assumption there that you will have the same amount of staff. Right now,
True.
Our parkland dedication requirement is 5%. Means that however much land the city's getting, we're getting 19 times that much in developed property, houses, businesses, tax base, and citizens as well. And so one would naturally expect the Parks Department to increase if the population and the area of the city doubles. The same way that one might naturally expect the police department to double in size if the population and area of the city doubles. So while it might be one thing if it was a huge redevelopment inside that was going to trigger something. So it's destroying old tax base and creating and rebuilding it right there, sort of creating a new obligation. But if the city's doubling in size, it's reasonable to expect the security will also increase.
Yes, that would be the reasonable assumption, and I'm always gonna fight for more staff. Just because we want to make sure that the level of service is above par. But again, it's just one of those things where one thing might happen and this might have to happen. This happens and then this next step would happen shortly after, or it could be a little bit of a while before another staff member gets put on. But again, kind of just we'll have to see.
Is there a number you're comfortable with that we could just put in there? So I was thinking some of these recommendations would be maybe for short term. We can keep an eye on it. I don't think there's anything in the pipeline right now from people requesting to make new developments. Like completely.
If there's been nothing on an executive session or public agenda, then there's nothing.
So,
It's kind of the best answer I can give.
Yeah.
But also, by the time that a development agreement starts getting negotiated, they will lock in the current development ordinances throughout the project.
Yeah.
So it's too late to change something once there's already kind of ink on page.
that makes sense.
It has to get changed before someone shows up.
I would say we can stick with 10 acres because then again, it's all going to come down to this is not going to this unless the developer develops it and it's got a playground already or a swimming pool or something like that. That's a whole different story.
Well, that's what
But
I was thinking. If it's
that's-
bigger, let
Yeah.
them do it.
Yeah, if
Is that
it's
okay?
How big is Lions Park?
about 11
11
acres.
acres.
hmm So if it's something like Lions Park where it has, the softball field, the athletic field, the splash pad, that's something that's very doable now. So I'm comfortable with that with my current staffing.
Because we can revisit this, in a year and
Mhm.
see how things change with all these different other variables that we're dealing with, like the ETJ, de-annexation,
Mhm.
things like that. So, there was a feature that some cities use called parkland development fee. It's an additional fee the city can request if you get parkland dedication, actual acreage. You can also assess how much money you would need to develop that, and that's part of like the package deal that the developer would
Interesting.
have to deal with. But that we have this ETJ problem that
Mhm.
we have. I don't know. So that's why I just don't even know. And I don't know how many cities even know right now because that law is only like a year old, 2 years old.
At least two.
Yeah. And there's been updates to it even last session. I am not the expert though. All right. The other thing I was wondering is there's kind of like active transportation master plan and development right now, but would you prefer trails? Like, would that be, how do you like maintaining those?
That's the thing
or
is
green belts?
that would be the thing is if we do trails, what would be the standard that we would find acceptable to accept trails? Would we look for things that are low maintenance like concrete or asphalt trails, or are we looking for crushed granite, mulch kind of greenbelt trails? If we go the greenbelt, mulch, crushed granite, that's gonna be more maintenance on the crew, and that's gonna be more staffing probably needs there. If we were to go with concrete or asphalt, that's a little bit more not needing as much attention to maintain. That'd be something a little bit easier that we could probably accept.
So should we leave this part off until we get that master plan maybe?
I would say so. I would also say if I'm not mistaken, some of the developments are using already like sidewalks as maybe we look at whatever they're using as a gauge or a tool to see what and how they're calculating that into how they're dedicating parkland already.
No. And then pocket parks. So Mr. Merz's comments were, let's put lots of little parks everywhere, even, smaller subdivisions, if I'm reading your information right. Are those, I've read that they're hard to maintain long-term,
Mhm.
and maybe they might even fall into disuse because they're just kind of small. What do you
It would-
like, what is the smallest you want to deal with?
So I think the
'Cause you have to
smallest would
mow
be
it.
something like what are in the two subdivisions that I can think of is Country Village and Westheim. Those properties there, I mean, are big enough, but they're also small enough to where they should have some park amenities there.
Yeah.
I think it would just fall down to staffing on what we can or should put there because we want to make sure that we keep we keep up with it. We don't want it to get into that disuse. So we're not going to put a huge playground there, but we can put something small.
So you're
And
pro pocket park.
I would be pro park. Yes, I would
It
be
would-
pro pocket park.
It would be nice to have pocket parks that have different things.
I-
I realize Country Village is already there. It's
Mhm.
it's hard to add things, especially that are noisy, around that. But if we had a new development and we put a basketball court at this one, when people are buying in that neighborhood, they know what they're getting.
Mhm.
And this one's for basketball, and this neighborhood has pickleball, and it'd be nice if we had different things scattered around the
I
city.
agree. Yeah, to where not everything is the same.
So I think you had it the minimum at a quarter acre
I was,
when we did the math
yeah, if you
with the
have
5 acres.
5% of 5 acres, that's a quarter acre.
So, and that number is okay if we actually wrote that in.
Mhm.
Okay.
That would be fine for me because again, we're not gonna with a quarter of an acre, we're not gonna put anything huge there. It's gonna be something small. It's almost like just think of so playground 3, we have a swing set, we've got that little old metal structure there, and another playground. It'd probably be one bay with 2 swings, a small play structure, and then benches and maybe a little shade cover. Something very simple, very small, easy to maintain. It would all be inside a contained plastic barrier with kitty mulch, and that's it.
And Alsatian Oaks did their own. They have a little pocket
Yes,
park in one of
exactly.
their little
Yeah.
cul-de-sacs, and it's just a small playground,
It's a small-
but it's
yeah, obstacle
it's a great
kind of course.
size.
Mhm. A little pavilion
Uh-huh.
with the
Yeah,
shade.
it does have a
and
pavilion.
that's it.
You're right.
All right. Do you want to be a part of the approval process of a development? Or does the whole board want to be a part? I got feedback that the board maybe shouldn't be because it's more about policy, but I've seen some cities use it where the Parks Board is in.
I got some feedback that if developers have too many stops along the way, that it's going to turn them off. So I don't know how where could is our feedback through Jonah? And you're already in some of those meetings, or are you not?
Not currently, no.
Because we sat through one of these where it was like people were going to have a say in this. They were going to have people from each committee or whatever.
I think that was
don't know.
that active transportation. Was it that active transportation?
No, it was who came to talk. This was a couple months ago.
Oh,
Maybe it was
Brianna?
Brianna.
Yeah,
Maybe.
in March.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And yeah, she was talking about having different people have a say.
Mhm.
So if that didn't happen, I would say yes, I would rather have you involved in these discussions in some manner.
Sounds good to me.
Us adding to your.
I assume they would want you in these things.
I would be comfortable sitting in something like this.
I don't know I know do they usually come to departments and discuss these?
No, I would think that they would have a meeting about it, and they would just, invite all of the individuals that are a part of it, and then they
Uh-huh.
can have an open discussion like this, or some type of discussion and workshop or something like that. I can reach out to Brianna and see, but I think, and then I'm gonna always come back and report more or less to the board my monthly update. So in that, I can also put in there what was discussed, or if there's any recommendations or areas that we want to, hey, what do y'all think about this? I can bring it up at that time.
In the same vein, do we want to make a parkland dedication manual and maintain that? And then we would obviously lean on you a lot because if there were specific materials needed or wanted to be specified for certain stuff, or what the property looked like, it could only be, it can have only so much drainage on it or a certain amount of slope to it or something like that, like making sure they don't just give us garbage property.
Mm-hmm.
So is the board okay? Y'all want to
I think we should.
make that a part of our stuff?
What did you call it? A manual?
It's parkland dedication manual. I sent email a couple of times and New Braunfels has one. I think it's in the bottom of the recommendation because I wanted to add that to other people's. It's pretty cool. Like if you go to New Braunfels webpage, which is in this document, They have so many master plans, and I don't know how updated they all are. Obviously, they are a bigger city with maybe like 6 different parks or something. I don't know if I counted very well, but it was a lot. So their latest ordinance and their dedication manual was from 2018. So like I said, I'm kind of curious how this ETJ stuff affects them currently, or if they've even seen it. Okay, I left this last section for last, so it's not in order. There's this, I put this term FILO, philo. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it in English. It means fees in lieu of parkland dedication. So it's a lot to type out. I was trying to make a list of reasons because I think there was some opinion that we should take out that mechanism from the current ordinance completely. And I feel like we might need to leave it in there because, as I said in the beginning, there's reasons that you would probably want money instead of actual property. Obviously, if it's too small or they're giving us something that's not usable, but there's a couple of reasons here, and I didn't know if we wanted to make this part of the dedication manual or if we want to put this in the ordinance or if we just want to research this more and we can either take out that, and I didn't write down the actual ordinance. I can look it up in a second. We can actually take that out, like which was in Mr. Mers's notes, or leave it in there and try to put in our list of what we care about, of why we would want to, like, for Jonah to say, yeah, let's take the fee instead of the actual acreage. Does that make sense?
It does. My initial thought is off the cuff that it seems the most prudent thing to do is if we're going to accept or if we were to offer like a fee in lieu of, then you'd have to do, it would have to include a commitment to a parkland dedication manual and a specific fund for parkland dedication so that it doesn't end up in special projects or general fund.
And
that way,
I'm definitely recommending that last point you said.
Yeah. Patrick has a thought.
Oh, yes.
Please share.
Okay. So, money for land. What is more needed in the city? Money for land. I would say we need land. Take the money's park. How long is that park set for? Nothing happened until we got money. You have to have land first. You have to have land first. You give a developer an opportunity to not dedicate land, you don't get land. You take the NUF fee out, so that there's no other option that they have to put land in. Once you get the land, it can sit there for a long time before you get the staff and get money to build it. But until we get land, that money's not gonna do anything. If you get $1,000 today, put it in a budget for land purchase, in 10 years, you lost half the value of that money from inflation. Because the land prices are going up. Land is the most valuable thing you can get. That's what the parks need the most of.
I am not in favor of making this so restrictive that it can't even be a discussion.
The fee in lieu of. I think to Patrick's point, yes, land is very important. I think if you ask one individual, they're going to say money. One individual is going to say land.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a double-edged sword. I would recommend, and kind of looking at what this recent developer I think is the stage 2 or phase 2 over here by Country Village, the estates or whatever they are. It's a small area that they were going to be putting a couple of houses in. I don't see where they would be able to put a park in that area. I definitely see Patrick's point about they're going to have to find a way to put a park in that area. But I think fee in lieu of should be considered as a like last ditch effort in that parkland dedication? You know, what is, give us the reasons as to why you're not dedicating land or property for a park. Is it because you're too small, or is it only a 10 house development, or what is it that you guys are trying to go down this route? And I think that's kind of where I would be comfortable keeping that fee in lieu of as a last, that is your last option, you know. But to Patrick's point, land is very valuable, you know, especially in 10 years, you know, people are gonna.
If, and I have a spreadsheet to help calculate this, because if a park, no, that doesn't make sense though, because if a developer is big enough to bring in, like, I forget what the order is of Alsatian Oaks, is 200 and,
It's, right now, the threshold for fee in lieu of is 5 acres or 100 dwelling units.
Mm.
So if you're under 5 acres or under 100 houses, you can do fee in lieu. It's the current ordinance. I think Alsatian Oaks is total somewhere around 700 to 900 houses. Not yet, but total.
yeah, platted. So Alsatian Oaks is 520 acres. They were supposed to, I guess, do 21 acres minimum of parkland dedication. What was my point? So we have to calculate a fair market value of the property and then divide that by the percentage that we care about. And then I guess, would you ever just want to have a developer say, someone's bringing you a chunk of change and says, here's my fee in lieu of, and you're like, yeah, now I can build a new bathroom, kind of thing, right? But maybe that's a niche set of conditions.
You can't, what they're
Yeah.
gonna pay in lieu of, it's not gonna buy land 5 years from now. That amount of money is not even gonna come close.
And again, I guess I would like to see an example of a community who has adopted a no fee in lieu of policy and that has worked successfully. If we can, if that is out there, I would love to see it.
You know, you got a developer, they all get the same, it's not restrictions, but they're all, if it's a small place, they're gonna see the same, what's available as the big place? Or a lot of acres?
Say that again.
Alsatian Oaks versus, the one with the pocket park.
Country Village.
Country Village.
But they when they're gonna meet the city's wants, you know, you can't separate what you're gonna offer the small versus the large, can you?
No, I don't think you would, because so from the, no, in short, no, and the ordinance says too, like Councilman Murr said, small subdivisions, when a subdivision will result in less than 100 residential units or less than 5 total acres, the subdivider shall make a cash payment in lieu of parkland dedication. So I think that's what that developer be on Country Lane did, right? Is that Country? There you go, the estates. I think that's what they did, because they're less than 100, but they're probably more than 5 total acres.
He's somewhere around 80 lots total.
Yeah. So.
But also he did it in, he subdivided in 2 stages.
Mm-hmm, correct. Yeah.
So we did 51 lots, and then
Yeah.
one was really big, and then he made that into 30.
Mm-hmm. So.
Which presumably is how my district, which is a fifth of the city, contains 150, 60 houses plus 100 apartments without any parkland.
Yeah.
That was developed under our subdivision ordinance. Currently says.
Yeah.
See, and I think just maybe restructuring the ordinance to, I mean, it says cash payments in lieu of dedication is
So one is
point F.
initiation by the city.
Yeah.
They can just say, oh yeah, we'll just, here's,
Yeah,
Well,
I
give us
feel
this
like
money.
based on number one, it needs to be initiated by the city. You know, the developer can't just come in and right away just say we're gonna do Philo. You know, no, that's not how it works. We're gonna look at all of the different options before.
And that's exactly what I want it to be able to be, a conversation, because what you're talking about with the ETJ, if we have it hardened in stone and this is we're not taking that, and they say, okay, then we'll just stay in the ETJ. And you guys don't get any parkland at all.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Or yeah.
Yes.
The subdivision ordinance actually applies in the ETJ. They would have to disannex from the ETJ.
Yes.
This is in the subdivision ordinance, so this applies regardless of whether they annex into city limits or not.
Okay.
They would leave the ETJ, which also puts them, for example, outside of guaranteed service by our police department. Like no street security coming by and stuff like that. There is a cost to that.
So the way the ordinance reads now, you can do a cash payment in lieu of dedication if it's initiated by the city or if your subdivision is too small, right? Those are the two ways you can get into this part. I think some people like Patrick and stuff, we want to remove this number one part and only have it when they're small subdivisions. That would be giving you parkland that was less than a quarter acre, or basically the math turns out that way. So that's kind of, but I think you're wanting another opinion is that we leave this number one in there, but we need to put some qualifications to it. It's just, that's more specification, right? Like, so. This, I think this is where it's been misused, right? Is in this number one part where the city can say, oh yeah, bring your development and just pay us $5,000 or whatever the number was calculated. And so then giving that more specification, right, is kind of where you're leaning.
I mean, I think we need more opinions than just from us, but yes, I would like to leave it as an open-ended conversation and not a line in the sand.
See, and I think for that reason, I keep going back to, and I appreciate the desire for like efficiency and, not killing things through redundancy. But at the same time, given that the makeup of council changes and the makeup of board changes and the staffing changes, that to me, this is a really good example for, instead of it being a situation to where someone from the council or someone from staff can, for whatever reason that may not be related to investments in the park, go to a developer and say, we would like to do cash in lieu of, right? So the only mechanism that you really have to make sure that if that option is exercised, that it actually goes into parkland for people who, live in the area, that's the Parks Board. And so while I, don't want to kill things by like having, people go through too many hoops at the same time, I think that is a fundamental element of what we do here. And I think if developers have to take an additional step and city council has to get, at least a formal recommendation from the Parks Board about accepting cash in lieu of, then it should come from the people who, are volunteer invested in it. So
like you're the keeper of the master plan. You're trying to have the park's best interest.
And as a volunteer board, it's not like, no one's job is on the line. No one's running for election. It's people that are just focused on just the quality of the parks and what we can invest realistically, and whether or not a cash option is something that, council can always do whatever they're going to do.
That's what I was going to say too. We could write it in there that the Parks Board would like to have some kind of an opinion, I don't think that they're going to reach out to us.
Well, certainly not if we don't open the door and say, hey, this is an expectation that we'd like to set because this is the kind of community that we're involved in.
I would be curious what other communities do, what their process is,
Mm.
and at what point, and through how people like us get their opinion heard.
I think if you added into the ordinance that that they need or in that manual that they come before, like just like some of the Eagle Scouts, they come in. I mean, if an Eagle Scout can come and make a presentation to the park board before they go to council, I think a developer can come and do something similar too. After everything's been said and done, they can come and say, hey, this is what we're planning to do in this development. We would like you guys to recommend this X, Y, and Z to council. And then that way council has a recommendation from the park board on why this parkland dedication or this fee in lieu of is acceptable,
Because that really does open up the conversation, right? And that was one of the comments that you made is that you didn't want to close anything off.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be an additional opportunity for developers to understand, like, hey, this is where we are,
So how would you put that into?
Yeah.
I do not know.
It gets wordy. So I was reading through other city
But I will take a
ordinances,
shot
and
if
it's
you like.
it's very wordy. So,
Did you see an example of something like that?
well, that's what I mean. That's why I keep referring to New Braunfels, because they have a dedication manual. They have, I forget if they have the director of the Parks Board in the process. I could try to find it real quick. And they have a lot of master plans. And obviously, if you drive on the interstate, you can see how much they're building there.
So would that comment be part of a manual or be part of the ordinance, I guess?
Yeah, I feel like the manual was almost like the English version, like the easy to read version of the ordinance.
Mhm.
With extra details, like here's the math. This is how we came to these conclusions. So it puts a lot more burden on us as a board to figure out what we want to do and do the research and be very specific.
That's okay. I would be willing to do that.
Okay.
So where do we, okay.
She volunteered for the wording.
Well, I'm just thinking of where do we end this discussion tonight? Because
Well, that's what I was wondering. So if you were to edit this recommendation here, and I have some details to add there, but
Mhm.
what do we want to put in there about the fees in lieu of?
But the other thing we talked about too was talking to someone more like Brianna and getting input before. So we still need more work on this.
You think so? I didn't know how much. I mean, I'm fine with that. If y'all are not confident, it's okay by me to make the effort and to take extra time. It's just with the holidays, you lose December, so things get kind of pushed off.
We have a comment from Mars.
Yes, there's a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Just a clarification. Any recommendation you make would still go to Brianna and the attorneys to figure out where is the appropriate place to put it, where is the appropriate language, what is the appropriate language to put it in the ordinance. It would still go to Brianna, still go to the attorneys, it would still go before council, it would probably still go before the planning and zoning commission because it's a change to the subdivision ordinance.
Mhm.
So it's not like, you guys say, this is what we'd like to see, and then we're off to the races in the cities in a legal pothole over it. It would go through a normal planning ordinance review process still. So you don't necessarily have to do that before you make your recommendation about what you want to see.
Mhm.
It would still ultimately have to go through those other. It will go through those avenues before anything. It's the code.
I guess I just feel like this is not my area of expertise and I would like to hear from other people who it is.
Yeah, I really kind of want to see some other, or hear some other experiences from other cities. That would be, even though they're bigger, probably most likely.
And I cannot presume to speak for the rest of the council. Part of the reason we sent it to you is because we have, we have a board that talks about planning and zoning ordinances.
Uh-huh.
We sent it to you because we wanted to know what your opinion was as people who know about parks. Do you feel like we have enough parks? Do you feel like the ordinance generates enough parks? Or do you think it's a tragedy that we have several hundred houses getting built and a single pocket park so far?
So are we overcomplicating this for what?
If you want to go and have a manual, a 30-page manual and a 20-page ordinance and flow charts and everything, that is fantastic. If you feel like that is outside of your ballpark,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that.
Then maybe we just simplify. I think we're all saying the same things in what we want to see, and overall we want to have some sort of a say.
I guess if we're not here in 5 years, does our idea can live on after us, right?
Right.
How do we have to specify it.
So
if
then
you
do we
look
need to
at
take this
our-
down to we want more parks, period?
Well, so if you look at our size of ordinance compared to other cities,
Yeah.
it is so small, right? This prints out on one page, and other people have pages and pages and pages of ordinance. So yeah, it can get complicated fast because it's just like, how specific do you want to be? Mr. Lee's comments the other day, he started, if you read through his comments again, when he came the November meeting, you start getting into like, well, what do you want about this? Or what do you want about that? Right? Like, do you want to do combinations of parkland dedication and fees? And when do those conditions occur? Like, it can get really, a flow chart basically is what you would end up having to write. We can keep it one page if you want, and hope that, future councils and park boards and park directors, can keep the good spirit up. I don't know. It seems like it's been abused in the past.
I have one other just factual thing and then two opinions. So the factual thing is that the city council, like, we could put that it's going to go into the parkland dedication is going to go into a parkland dedication fund. Ultimately, a future council can choose to use that money for something else. A council's ability to restrict funds from its future council is extremely limited, outside of like debt obligations. For example, we have a water acquisition fund, and I believe the broadly council could use that on any utility that they chose. And at any point, you could take the money from your electricity bill and use it to pay for upgrades to the sewer fund. The ability to partition off little bitty bits beyond the future council are just extremely limited. And so if you're only comfortable keeping the fund in lieu of, if you can section it off, you should be aware that you can't section it off very well. That's the factual.
So we have the Park Special Projects Fund. That is on its own, right? How is that different?
I'm pretty sure council could raid that for other purposes if it chose.
That would be a very bad look if they decided to do so, wouldn't you say?
I agree. I'm just saying that I believe the future council
Yeah.
could take that money for other general fund measures if they so chose.
That's not me. Well, Peter, they won't.
I guess our
It's
recommendation
not
would be
pretty,
that
but
doesn't
that's
happen.
part of how
Highly
how
recommend.
the council has a lot of.
I mean, all we can do is recommend, all we can do is recommend that we would like the money to go
Yeah.
there.
An advisory board.
Yes.
In the end. Did you have opinions?
I did. One angle that I didn't hear very much in the discussion of fee in lieu of is that if you take fee in lieu of during the development of the new subdivision, that means that that money is not going to be spent in that subdivision. It's going to be spent in an existing park in a different subdivision. It is extremely difficult to get from anywhere in my district to a park. Prior to that pocket park in Alsatian Oaks, which is inaccessible from 2/3 of my district.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because fee in lieu of was used repeatedly on small chunks of larger planned developments. And so we ended up with nothing, and that fee in lieu of was spent presumably in parks 3 miles away from anyone in my district that are extremely hard to access unless you get in a car and fight them. Kids can't get there. And when we're talking about all these subdivisions going up over there, all of which the intent is to attach them to my district. So they're kind of my problem. Every fee in lieu of is money that's not being spent to actually benefit the people who will be living in that neighborhood that's paying for your new restroom in Regional Park. And so I would encourage you to think not just of how can this best be used to serve the park, but how can this best be used to manage parks, plural, for the benefits of the current and future people. And the second opinion is, even if you want to keep fee in lieu of, I think that's fine. I think you should change the dual threshold. Because right now it's 5 acres, which is about 2 city blocks, or 100 units, which, given our minimum lot size of 1/3 of an acre, means 30 acres. So you say 5 acres or 6 times that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would highly recommend removing the or 100 units, especially because that means no commercial development is ever required to dedicate parkland.
Say the last part again.
It doesn't matter how big your commercial development is, it has 0 living units, and therefore dedicates no parking.
Maybe I was not reading the right thing, but I don't think commercial properties are required to make parkland. Is that not the case?
No, that's what I just said.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So changing that.
I think that should be changed, personally. All of our commercial zones allow apartments. So any commercial zone in the city allows apartment buildings. So someone could come, zone the whole thing commercial, dedicate no parkland, and then fill it with apartments. Which, although they have to put something else there for a year first. So.
Can you give me an example, like, okay, the small commercial development that's over by the gas station on the east side of town?
Yes.
I don't know how big that is, but it's a full office building or whatnot.
It's a good amount of space.
How would a park fit into that?
Well, aren't there, I'm relying on a mental map here.
Uh-huh.
I believe there is a trailer park, right? Let's go with that.
Uh-huh.
Trailer park is not in city limits, let's say it was.
Okay.
They don't have access to a park right now. They have to get on 90 or 471 to get to a park. It would be spectacular if that office park had put, half an acre, which isn't huge, but that's a fair amount of space for kids to run around or for swings or trees. It'd be great to get that. Or like Country Village is 120 houses, 120 apartments. We have no parks. If a 10-acre commercial development went up next to us, a park there could absolutely benefit the residents of the area, even though there's no residents in that development. And ultimately, that's what parkland dedication is about, is benefiting the residents who are going to live near there. one's gonna live in the property. Does that make sense, or have I missed
Yeah,
it?
no, yes, yes. Is that something that's normally done? I'm just trying to envision like
Does it matter? if it's
where
normally
parks. I'm just curious if it's been done before. Like, is there an example of this having been done in history that was successful?
I mean, if it's
Or are they going to say, no, we're not putting in a park, take this money?
well,
Like, because no one else in the history of ever.
Developments over 5 acres, then they can't sell to us.
And I mean, kind of the situation that we're in, I don't personally, I don't worry about a lack of people wanting to come into Castroville or develop the area. If they do not care for setting aside parkland, if they do not care for the ordinances that we have, it's not like there's not someone else knocking on the door right after them. I mean, how invested are we in making sure that developers that come in are as comfortable as they can possibly be? I mean, to me, as far as prioritizing things goes, it's not the priority. Even if it hasn't been done before, it's still, I mean, like you said earlier, it's worth a conversation to be had, even if we're the first ones to do it.
Think about the worst case scenario. So you have a developer that comes in, really strict requirements for parking, whatever, and they decide not to be annexed. J and build it on their own. It's just to do it once. So if they're gonna do it on their own, there's no parking. And in lieu of phase out, there's still no parking. So there's a lot of people that want to go, and if they don't, then on down the road. That's, you know, that's what everybody's afraid of, is developers gonna pull out ETJ. But if he does, you don't get a park. The other option is you pay some lieu, you still won't get a park. There are gonna be some developers that will say, yeah, that's a good idea, I think I can do that. I can work that in, especially if it comes, you know, you say, the more steps will turn people away. I say put a lot more steps in to turn them people away. If they really want to do it, they'll come up to it. Not tell what you want, so you haven't made a park anyway. You're gonna have a standard there that other people can.
I think going back to that notion of if we don't make an effort for people who are moving in the area to have a park, like who else is going to do that?
I can rewrite this draft with the details we've discussed and figure out, maybe talk to Scott or Brianna about the fee and loop of part and see what. So are we on like last ditch? Like Jonah was saying, is that our goal? Is really don't use that until like the very, except for like minimum total acreage. Or do we need more time for that? To research that part. I mean, I think we have everything else covered. It's just this one part. Except for maybe if it's too small, or so if the property that is being subdivided is too small, what did we say? Less than,
For 100 lots? Is that
or
what you're talking
we
about?
want to do 5 acres, right? Is that?
That would be my recommendation, is just to drop the dwelling units, or 100 dwelling units entirely.
Yeah.
Stick with the 5 acres.
Mhm.
But you can do whatever you want.
Just make sure I understood your.
Can you repeat that one more time, like all together? I just want to make sure I have it correctly.
My recommendation would be to drop the or 100 living units clause
Mhm.
from the criteria
Mhm.
to do fee in lieu.
So that's if it's at 5 acres, you get a 1/4 acre pocket park, and then obviously all the way up to 10, which would be after that. We would want it to kick over to where the developer makes its own set of amenities with that certain amount of parkland dedicated. So I can write that in, and then we can get some feedback initially. Yes.
So for spaces that are larger than 10 acres, where the builder is putting in their own amenities, do we also have a requirement that that is open to anyone who lives in the community? Or can they put stipulations on who can use that facility or use that park? It's not a rhetorical, I genuinely don't remember.
Yeah,
That would have to be a gated community, wouldn't it? To restrict.
I think
Unless
that's
it's like a
what
pool or
I've
something.
heard, but so in
Is that something
places
worth
I've
addressing?
visited, the pool is restricted, but then the playgrounds are not. So you have to be like a resident to get in there.
My understanding from reading the current ordinance is that if they are just dedicating as part of the plat, which is the non-PUD portions, that they are dedicating that land to the city, it becomes the city's, and the city would have to choose. In the PUD portion, they're allowed to make a private space just for the members of their neighborhood, where you have to like do your code to get into the pool or whatever. I don't see any clause in the 100-53 that would enable them to make it private,
Okay.
but I could be wrong.
I guess we can get that clarified too. Yes.
Okay, so all along is, from the Castro Region, to address all these issues.
Secretary.
Okay. Okay. This one goes into 100-76 and onwards. Where are these? Did you want to skim it over? Okay. I can more thoroughly read that through. I can more thoroughly read this through and see how it matches up. Yeah.
Do you have this as a PDF? Would you be willing to email that to me? That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah.
And me.
Either way.
So then now I'm feeling like we need another work session to
Do you want to do
Go
it in
through
January
this.
or completely different? I mean, I think as a board, I don't know if we're kind of all on the same page and we just need help filling in the details and we can see how far we go.
But like, given this that we need to review and actually like digest and do something with.
Yeah.
I hate putting it off too, but we've got a whole lot of question marks.
I mean, I can update our recommendation just to kind of show where we're at and then put question marks of where we need to fill in at least.
So what are you going to do with this?
It looks similar to, well, I'll have to look at this part.
I would like to have time to review it before.
I guess too, like I said, I want to clarify with Mr. Lee about affecting the PUD section, which is 100-76,
Mhm.
et cetera. I don't know.
I mean, do you want to workshop or do you want to table it and come back? I don't.
I'm happy to workshop.
I am too.
Well, I want y'all to take a holiday before we workshop anything, obviously.
Okay. I
We
mean,
could figure out some dates for January. That's kind of far away. I don't want you to have to commit right now. But if you'd like a workshop, we can do it. I thank you for all the feedback because I want to walk the line of like too much, too little, and like we have like I said, one printed page of ordinance for this particular subdivision section. Other cities have pages and pages, so there's got to be a happy medium that fulfills our goal to be advocates for parks. All right. Shall we
I think
do a workshop?
We need a motion.
Do we need a motion to do a workshop?
Well, to end the discussion, to do something with the discussion, don't we?
Is it just
The-
tables?
Not necessarily. There's no action that was taken, but I would put an action that you guys are going to plan to make a workshop.
Okay. I can do that.
Just do an action.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. No action taken.
you. Number 6A, the Friends of Kestrel Regional Park update. Do you have anything, or if
Do we have an annual meeting in January or February? Also, look at the, on the hiking trail assessment grant. Where TWD is. Also, what else did had several work days since the last time. It was successful. The only other thing I noticed on the notes, there was a whole list of things that were pro people buy of. And that other than I wanted I will prepare some information of why they were bring forward.
May I suggest if it works out in your schedule, it would be really wonderful to have you at the workshop instead of keep pushing this to the next meeting,
Whatever the workshop.
Yeah.
and if you can
Okay.
send it before the meeting, like I hate to give you homework over Christmas break, but
Not yet.
not yet. I will.
Patrick, what was the grant for again?
The grant was to redo all the hiking trails. When I say redo, that means replace the signs, benches, and tread works, also add probably, parking lot, like the street
Mhm.
That's
Oh, wow.
accessible.
Is there a way for people to walk into the park better on that parking lot area? This is, I walk into the park often, and it's dangerous to walk into the park. To walk into the park on the main driveway, and I guess I should be, yeah, well, not on the parking lot on the next level, but if it was more obvious how to get into the park, especially if you're a newbie to the area.
There are gonna be
Okay.
signs there, like, what's that street that comes straight in and you turn, there'll be a sign.
Points.
That's part of it. Where the upper parking lot is, it would be that.
Yeah, and to be able to walk down into the park better because it's not obvious.
You
which
mean
way.
not just cross at the pool? Do you mean go further down?
Or we walk in on the main right by the gate. You can walk in on that, but it's pretty narrow for
You're
pedestrians.
talking about in the lower part.
Yeah.
Where the iron-
In front of the butterfly garden
Guess I
and
shouldn't be
in
using
front of
it
the community center.
But the drive down into the parking lot is really rough too. So if you're on a bike, it's, I have little bikers.
Well, that was the trail that you put up. A trail from Butterfly Garden all the way
Yeah, that's
to that stuff. We were on the whole line,
okay.
so that would be the next thing.
Yeah.
Do that out and there's that. But we wanted to do something. That parking lot and the trailhead there established that. That's now, that's gonna be the first place.
Yeah.
Sit there and see all that. Easier to get in.
Okay.
All the trails, some kind of work on signs, benches, tailgate panels, kiosks.
Okay. That'll be good. 6B Park Special Project Fund. We have a quarterly report.
Yes. All right. So we had so I just do from January 1st to the end of the month, which was November 30th. We had our opening balance was $63,870 and change. Deposits we had 23,270 and 50 cents. Withdrawals 50,120. Leaving us a closing balance in total of $37,021.37. There were two withdrawals so far: a $50,000 withdrawal, which was a reimbursement back to the general fund for the beach entry, and then a $120 reimbursement for a special events cancellation. So any type of special event that gets submitted, that fee goes into Park Special Project Fund. There was a cancellation, so that's that reimbursement there. Not on here yet. I did purchase some mulch for the butterfly garden just to finish it out. It was $100, so that'll be reflected in our at the end of the year report. It's not on here, but I will share. We have, so within that $37,021.37, about $5,680 is specifically allocated for the Otter swim team. $5,000 is allocated for Lions Park through the Castroville Special Events. So that leaves unrestricted funds at $31,341.37. We got a really big deposit in late September, and that's $12,000. That was $12,115. That was that second phase to Country Village Estates. So that's where they did that fee in lieu of. So that's what I have for this.
And then on that one, I recall last time the discussion of pool cover for the shallow end of the pool. Is
Oh,
there
yes.
Any update on that?
Yes, I have that in mind.
More?
So that's what I'm going to ask. So
I was wondering.
keep in mind that $31,341 as unallocated. I do have an updated quote. It's on this one here from Recreonics. This is going to be for 2 panels, 15 by 35. That amount is going to be $3,409.02. So this is only one quote that we've gotten. We can go to another supplier. I did reach out to Leslie's for one, and I haven't heard back, so I'll email them and talk to them about it, getting an updated quote. But just with Recreonics, we're looking at $3,400 plus or minus. So, and I think the board approved 2,000.
Okay.
So.
Do you want me to put that on the agenda to get that covered, or do you want to wait for some more quotes?
That's totally up to the board. If we want to do it, if we want to go ahead and just bite the bullet and go that route, or if we want to get more quotes, it's up to you all.
Did we approve an amount?
Mhm.
So,
I don't remember.
yeah, there was an amount approved, and it was based on the square footage and the price per square
What
foot.
you had presented us.
So we
yeah.
approved it based on like what we thought the math was going to turn out to be.
Mhm.
But personally, I would say that especially given the drop in the weather temperature,
Mhm.
and that we could be spending,
That's
$6,000
what I was worried
a
about.
month on utility costs, that it makes a lot more sense to just suck it up, buy it now, because every day that we wait, I mean, you've got heaters that are doing
Yeah.
a fabulous job of heating the pool, and the pool covers are being used on, the main body of the pool. But I mean, there's a lot of utility, there's a lot of heat loss from that shallow area being uncovered.
What do we have to do to allow you to do that? Does that have to be an action item to change the amount of money?
That's a great question.
I should have put it on the agenda.
I can ask Deborah and Scott.
Ask Deborah.
Yeah. And see. I think what I'll also recommend is in our agendas, I think Scott started to put in his
yeah.
updates that items can be removed and acted upon should the council or should the board want to do that.
That would be good. Okay.
Maybe I can check an example for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess we can figure out how to spend the rest of the money. Because technically it shouldn't sit there for years and years and years. The unallocated funds, it needs to be used.
Correct.
I think we're kind of waiting in limbo because of the splash pad. And I don't know if we need this for a rainy day thing for that, or because I love the north restroom, the regional park to be.
So
Unless it's in part of the trail grant, but
yeah. So let me ask Deborah about that. I know the board had looked at a policy for this. I don't know if council ever approved a policy. So it may just be that
I
we
think we just made it and it didn't go further.
Yeah. So it may just be that we can go ahead and approve that amount.
So it says recommend purchase of new cover to cover 3 more lanes funded through Park Special Project Fund. Estimate $2,000 cost. That's
Okay.
just an estimate.
Oh, then I would say it's fine.
Okay.
Purchase.
Sounds good to me. I will clarify with Deborah and then we'll go with
Okay.
Just in case you can't just buy it.
Uh-huh.
Make recommendations that you want to buy it too. So when you pass it on our agenda, it doesn't have to come back to you first. Just kind of-
Should
Yeah.
I just take that language from this meeting we already had approving it and say we did this? Please let him do that. We're reminding you that it's okay.
I'll double check with Leroy too as well because I think the department heads they have a cap on how much they can spend, and Scott I know too can purchase a certain amount without going before council. So
Yeah, I would hope you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to.
for pool covers, so
I mean, if you had like a massive leak or something,
Yeah.
I don't know, you'd be buying.
yeah, sounds good to me. All right,
Thank you.
easy
Glenn.
enough. My pleasure.
Can you, put a pool cover on that corner? Okay, and then you have an update for 6C.
Yes. All right. So just real quick and easy. Construction for the community center is back underway. It's going to be a slow process getting everybody remobilized. So subcontractors should have gotten paid this week from Frontera. Frontera received their check. I think it was last week I think it was last week. Um, so we should all be starting to see some progress going. There were plumbers out there today. They were working on some of the plumbing. So it's going to be slow, and we have the holidays that we're going to be juggling. So we really won't see a lot of progress probably until the new year. But know that there is progress, and the construction is going to be back underway. So last construction schedule was sent out to us in December. Projected owner move in March 25th, 2026. However, this does not account for the rain delays or the government shutdown delays. So if we just calculated the 26 calendar day rain delay, we're looking at the end of April for move in. So we're gonna I'll keep you all updated. I reached out to USDA because they're gonna have to submit a change order for the contract moving that date back. If they can combine both rain delay and government shutdown delay in one, and then get an updated owner move-in date. Based off of that, we'll see how. May we're pretty easy in terms of the pool season. We're really only open weekends in May. There's a couple of swim practices during the week towards the middle to late May, so we might be able to juggle that. But I will make sure to keep the board apprised of that situation. Programs and events. At the beginning of the month, we had citywide yard sale. We had a work session on November 8th at Regional Park, and then there was also a community service day at the end of April after the Thanksgiving holiday. The department began and completed Christmas decoration installation. So we had Highway 90 guardrail garland, wreaths and bows, September Square tree lighting, which was contracted out, Houston Square tree lighting. We had 8 trees there. Houston Square Christmas tree install and lighting. We helped the Chamber of Commerce put their tree up, install it, fluff it, do all that. We also did the gumdrop bulbs at Houston Square, City Hall, front flower bed, mountain laurel lighting, Public Works, garland on their rails, and some building lights, library building lights, and then the lighting at the swimming pool along the fence. We also have 2 banners, Happy Holiday banners at Houston and September Square. And no, I don't have anything at Houston Square. I'm sorry. So it's just September Square and the community center. No change to staffing. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one change to staff. Pool staff, we added another lifeguard. That's kind of helped with the evening shifts to give the morning staff a break. So that way we don't have people having to come back. Upcoming priorities and projects, they're still the same. Garden of Roots, some tree replacements, and then just monitoring of the community center construction. Next is just the reservation report. 2 volleyball court rentals for the month, 5 area rentals, 11 pavilion rentals, 21 table rentals, and 60 RV park rentals and 1 tent camping rental. Our work order reports, parks had 75 total work orders, and facilities had 11, 86 total work orders for the month. And we have a couple of pictures. So this was the biggest project, I think, that we were focusing on for the butterfly garden. Remulching that. I don't know if you remember what it looked like before, but that mulch was pretty much just dirt and brown. So I was a little optimistic with the red. I thought Helen was just being like a little bit of a pet peeve with, oh, I want red mulch, but the red mulch really makes that hillside pop. So that has been completed. We also went ahead and added some mulch on the botanical garden trail as well. And then we have, here's that Christmas tree that we were helping the chamber install and put up. They're fluffing. And then here's Highway 90, blowing the bridge, putting up the garland, bows and wreaths. Usually we do have some ladies volunteer and help us fluff and put up wreaths and bows. I think that the holidays kind of the schedule got away from me, and I wasn't able to reach out to them with enough time to get their little group collected and put together. So staff did all of the fluffing and wreaths and bows on the ground. Electric department handled the overhead wreaths and snowflakes along Highway 90. This is a new group that worked with us. They did the mulching at September Square. They mulched all of the trees over there. This is Arrow 127 Homeschool Co-op, and they were just looking for a community service project. They're small little kids that were out there with their parents, and they started at 9 and they finished about 10:30. They mulched all the trees there and the front flower bed at September Square. So really grateful for that. And that's all that I have. I do have a quick update on our splash pad. So the splash pad, we cameraed the lines coming from the interior of the drain going out to the fixtures. We didn't see a whole lot of debris in those lines, so there was really no reason for us to think, well, those lines are broken. There's a little bit of debris, but nothing too much, or we didn't notice any breaks. So we kind of were like, well, what's going on? So we went ahead and went from water supply to the cutoff valve just outside the splash pad. And sure enough, there's a break in that water supply line. So I need to coordinate with Advanced Aquatics and MWF, the concrete contractor, to try to come in there, saw cut that section out, see if they need to backfill any material, make that pipe repair, and then we can pressurize the system again and see if we have any other leaks or
So how far is that into the main pad then? Is that, where's the cutoff? So it's between the cutoff valve and
so the cutoff valve is from the main drain. The cutoff valve, I would say, is about 15 feet outside of the pad. So outside the pad, we turned the water on, and you could just hear that water rushing, but it wasn't coming out of any of the fixtures, or it wasn't going into the center drain. So I was like, well, it's going somewhere. And sure enough, that's whenever we decided, well, since we already have the center portions out, let's go ahead and just camera that line up until we get to the valve. And sure enough, you could kind of see where that pipe was moving. There was some play in that pipe, which there shouldn't be any. So
is that under the pad or outside?
Under the pad. So right there where
did the pad shift, you think, to cause that? Or is that too, you
don't
have enough information?
I don't think we have enough information until we saw cut that out, and I'm not an engineer, so I don't want to say that yes, it was the pad shifting, or there was not enough compaction whenever the installation was. It could have been a mixture of different issues that caused this problem. But once that section has been cut out, they'll be able to look in there and see more or less what damage it has caused, and then if any material is going to have to be put back and replaced.
So can this repair fix everything? Solve all our
It
problems
could.
with the splash pad? Or
It could. But there's no telling until we repressurize the system and then make sure and verify those cameras. We're going to still take off. So we went from the center out. The center drain is there's basically like a halo ring that distributes all the water to the different fixtures. So we went from the center out to the different fixtures, and we didn't have any issues on that front. However, we're still going to take off some of the fixtures that we knew we had problems with and camera from the fixture side in to see, hey, maybe there is an issue, but that we just are not capturing on this side from the camera.
Progress. A little bit.
BMA. So I sent Bonnie, the office manager, an email about mid-October, early November, I think, or late October, early November, about being put onto their agenda for December. And she said, yes, you're on the agenda. Well, yesterday was their meeting, and I looked at their agenda to get a copy of it, and I was not on their meeting. So long story short, she unfortunately forgot, and I was not put on the meeting. However, I did go and I introduced myself, gave them a two-minute little public comment, and talked to the directors at the end of their meeting about, apologies that we weren't put on their agenda, but we will be back in January to present to them, and hopefully we can get something going from there. The last thing that I have is not on the agenda, but we do have a little bit of a forward progress for the riparian restoration along the river. And I have here, let's see. So we walked the site a couple of days ago with Mary Michael with Texas A&M. Let me rotate these real quick. Sorry. Okay, so this is Mary Michael's little map of the area, the riparian that we're going to be working at. This is just base map. We don't have anything here other than my chicken scratch right here. Don't worry about that. But this is kind of what she developed on how it is currently. This is her map of. Good night. Sorry. This is her map of the proposed changes or what they plan to do for planting. So right over here in this fenced area is going to be a enclosed area trying to show users and visitors how the riparian would grow if there was no animals like deer or user interaction. And then you have a couple of plantings along the river and then plantings along the ballards here. And then there's a little garden here that they're also looking to install. And then there's some pictures here that'll follow. So this is that exclusion zone right here in between these three trees. And then this is this obviously not going to be the exact fencing that we're going to use, but this is what she was able to find. So this would be that exclusion zone. It'd be tall enough to where deer can't jump over it and get in there. And then there'd also be signs telling people why this is an exclusion zone. Basically trying to educate people that are coming. This is the riparian. This is the different plants that are going to be established here since it's not going to be mowed or touched. Also, here's a before. Again, this is all going to this is just projected in examples, but this is before, and then this would be after. And I can't think of what the plant this is, but I'll get you the plant list later.
They don't have to be maintained, right?
Those are very, very low maintenance. Here's another example with that garden there. Yeah, no, these are just examples. This is not going to be the exact. Don't expect to come and see red, poppies or something in there. But yeah, this is just what she kind of put together. Same thing. Yes, same thing before and then an after. And this is kind of what we're looking for: the establishing paths to those tables, moving the trash cans to promote trash collection, but moving it not in the middle of that walking path, but making sure that people know where to go, where not to go, having signs up, and then promoting drainage in those areas as well.
It's a bigger spot than I expected. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. So it's short and sweet. They went out, they measured. They'll send a plant list and more or less an idea of the cost. This is all kind of through a grant, so there's no cost to the city. The only thing the city would have to do is water some of these areas, and that's where that water trailer that we made last year would help out. We just hook a hose up to it, pull up to it, and then just water by hand in some of these areas. Hopefully, if we have a river, some of that water will water what's along the river, but this garden bed and some of these other plants we would have to water by hand. So that's all I have.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for me?
No, I do. The water connection to the restrooms. Well, do you know when that's going to be turned back on?
It was turned on this morning.
It was not functional this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to double check with staff then. Yeah. So the restroom trailer was moved for Old Fashioned Christmas. They used it for Old Fashioned Christmas. I turned on the water inside the storage closet that distributes the water to the different toilets. It may have been that since they did not use the sinks for Old Fashioned Christmas and they used hand sanitizer, I don't know if it's specifically for the sinks or the toilets as well did not have water.
I only checked the sinks.
Okay, so it may just be that they closed off the sinks because they were only using hand sanitizer, but I'll double check. There should be somebody there still right now, actually.
Thank you, Jonah.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, we just have the motion for the workshop.
Yeah, well, we have our next meeting on January 21st, which I think that's right. That sounds kind of late, but I double checked.
Probably
it
our normal
before,
time.
but yeah, it should be. Yes, because the 7th is the first Wednesday. And we can try to get a workshop before then. Maybe the week of the 5th. I'm just guessing. We'll have to, I can email y'all. And also, we have a list of future agenda items. I hope some of these will be, I for the new year, I think the community center might be pretty straightforward since we're relying on Devin to do that. We're working on C. Jonah's kind of working on D. It's slow.
Oh,
And
yes.
do you have something?
So I've only gotten one contractor. His estimate, thank you for bringing this up, was like $2,000, $2,500 more or less to enclose that north restroom. Scott talked to me that they're going to be bringing up CIP, I think at the beginning of January. So I'll be talking to Scott about the different options that we can do for this north restroom. Total tangent, but since we're on the subject of restrooms remodeling, I did get an estimate from one contractor, rough estimate on the restroom changing areas at the pool, and that cost estimate was between 90 and, let's see here before I misspeak, 90 to $150,000, give or take, and that was going to be like a metal building with wood frame interior. That same image that I showed you all at the last meeting. Oh, actually, it's still connected here, so I can show you all. But yeah, so that's what they were kind of going off of. So $90 to $150,000 for this, plus or minus.
Yeah, that's a big range, but
It's hard for them to give a definitive quote because we don't have like plans for it. This is just an estimate of what I think. If we were to decide in CIP or at a later date, hey, yeah, this is what we want to do. Let's go ahead and get it all worked out. What is that final closer cost going to be for something like that? Sorry.
thank you. Anyway, if there's anything else that y'all want to work on in the new year, please let me know. I have a couple other ideas, but I need to talk to Jonah about it. So I think, like I said, a few of these might be pretty straightforward. I'm relying too on Priscilla Garrett for part number, or letter E, I should say, with the bricks in September Square. And we went to the active transportation walkabout the city and actually walked on some of the crosswalks on 90 and different areas to see how accessible it was. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from their research. And, they're supposed to have a draft plan, I think, in February, if I remember right. Is there anything else for agenda items?
I did not have anything.
Or please email me if something comes up. Thank you very much for helping this year. Hope you'll have a very Merry Christmas. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
My second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's 8:04. Thank you too, Jonah.
Yes.